Greetings, I'm Sam Fisher.
And I'm Yotam Saban, and we're the podcast Modern Jews.
And we've been discussing some of the contradictions between Kashrut laws and stem cell meat.
They probably don't know what that is, by the way.
So, in this podcast, we'll explain what even is keeping kosher and what is stem cell meat, just like Yotam says, because you probably don't know what it means. We can then explain what people in Judaism believe on this issue, and ultimately let you decide what should be done on this issue for Jewish people.
So, first things first, what are stem cells? Well, stem cell meat and what's keeping kosher is in Judaism, and see how people view the issue around the world. So first off, stem cells are cells that can pretty much remake any organ in a certain animal's body.
So, we know that sounds pretty complicated, but once you understand the possibilities with stem cells, it will be all clear, and it's actually pretty cool.
So with this natural technology, stem cells from any part of the human body, or like animal body, can be manipulated to make pretty much any type of meat.
So this is how we grow meat in the lab, right?
Yeah, so although this technology is pretty new, we're making advancements pretty much every day, making the lab-grown meat grow faster, make it healthier, and make it tastier too. All of the technology is pretty new, even just acquiring the stem cells from the animal body, but nowadays it can actually be done without harming the animal.
Because of the stem cells being removed from animal bodies seamlessly, this could even be an option for people who feel uncomfortable eating meat because of ethical reasons. So it's just like getting a quick thing taken off your skin,
like a swab,
which barely hurts you. So that would make it so the animal doesn't feel any pain, and it's not even killing an animal because the animal doesn't lose its life, it just loses one of its cells.
So all of this stuff is really exciting because the technology is moving extremely fast, even to the point where certain parts of the human body can be grown, such as ears. Just a couple of, I believe it was months ago, scientists managed to grow an ear in a lab.
Wow. So now the way they make actual burgers and meatballs in the lab, which is like totally crazy.
So like any other project with stem cells, it takes a while to achieve exactly what you want with today's technological limitations. Although it is moving pretty fast, it still does take a while. It takes a while to make the actual stem cells do what you want them to do.
Yeah, so you have to put them in a petri dish, right? And that after you take them from a cow. So after you do that, this could be taken from any part of the body, right? Like skin tissue or blood, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So the great part about this is that it can be done pretty harmlessly to the animal. In this case, most scientists are just using a cow.
Or even a pig. Anyway, a nutrient solution is then added to this cell. That actually would help the cell divide properly because everything growing needs energy, so we would supply the energy. And then once it gets the energy and it finishes growing, salt and seasoning is added to make sure the meat is actually tasty and you can eat it like a normal steak.
So if you think about this is the meat of the future. It could satisfy vegetarians, vegans, and omnivores because it doesn't actually hurt the animal. Even better, scientists say that the meat could actually be available on like the market in the next 5 years.
So now that we know what stem cell meat actually is, we can now know how it actually is connected to Judaism and its rules on eating, which are actually pretty complicated.
So the laws of Kashrut actually defines what Jews can eat and can't eat. This idea came from the Torah saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, these are the creatures that you may eat among all the animals on earth." So
Jews can't eat non-kosher meat, which means it has to be killed correctly by using a specific blade, and the factory has to be approved by a rabbi where it's killed.
So basically what defines kosher meat is defined by how it is killed, which is tricky for stem cell meat since, well, the animal isn't exactly slaughtered.
Well, this is actually even made more complicated as some meats are purely off limits, like pig or some shellfish.
So the Torah, which is in the Jewish Bible, by the way, says that meat has to chew its cud and have cloven hooves to be a kosher meat. But this gets tricky as if you consider pig cells to be a pig.
These rules are here for multiple reasons, which have been debated for many over the years. Some rabbis said this was for health reasons, such as Rambam, who said eating one of these various kinds of food that the law has forbidden is blameworthy, or also meaning at the time unhealthful. Some say this is to treat animals better, and some say it's just for tradition.
Yeah, so the Torah even said, "For the soul of the flesh is in the blood, and I have therefore given it to you to be placed upon the altar to atone for your souls. For it is the blood that atones for the soul, which is a sort of precursor to ethical eating." Which may be why people thinking keeping kosher is better for the animal.
Yeah, if you think that you shouldn't eat blood because it's like eating the soul of an animal, that's kind of showing that you want to pay respect to the animal, which in a way would be stem cell meat because you're not eating the animal itself.
Yeah, so basically this just leads to some very interesting views on what kosher meat is, and when even taking stem cells from an animal.
Rabbis have many different views on this. Carl Fay, a rabbi, says cultured meat could still be kosher even if the donor animal isn't. Fate points to the Jewish legal principle of nullification, which states that a trace amount of a forbidden substance can be fully absorbed into an acceptable one without rendering the second trait or forbidden. Well, what that means is that because of a very minor rule in the Torah about it being okay to eat non-kosher food with kosher food if it is less than 1/60th of non-kosher food. Basically meaning that if you have, like, let's say a pie of a kosher pie and you put a tiny bit of pork in it, as long as it's less than 1/60th of the cake that you're about to eat, then it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Another idea that another rabbi has, Rabbi Reuven Flamer, has had a much more conservative approach. He says that the idea of mastering life, that which God creates for us in a harmony between foodstuff and the human body, is a slippery slope. He says, we don't know what we're tinkering with when we make this. So that basically means it doesn't matter if it's kosher or not. We shouldn't eat it because it's taking advantage of another animal's life. So it's kind of like tampering with the life of...
in the movie Jurassic Park, where it is like you can't make dinosaurs because that's tampering with life. Same idea. And also, Carl Fate kind of made that point about the 1/60th of non-kosher food to make the point that you could eat whatever you want, because if it's less than 1/60th, then a cell of a cow or a pig is way less than 1/60th of an animal. So even if that animal is not kosher, it's fine because it's not the whole animal because of the 1/60th rule, which is really cool.
So another interesting approach is by Rabbi Menachem Genak. He makes the point that says bioengineered beef is more like milk, which Jewish law considers a derivative of meat, but not itself meat. He says there's no principle that says that something that comes out of meat is meat, he says. So similarly, when science uses cells to make a copy, the result is one step removed from the original substance. So that means that all the meat is perfectly kosher. It is like drinking milk or eating a fish, so no prayer needs to be given to it. That means it is kosher automatically.
So that would include pig. So that means you could eat literally anything if it's made from stem cell food, because if it's made from stem cell food, that means it's like drinking milk, which is totally fine.
I think that's great.
Yeah, me too. Also, lastly, there's a very, very conservative Orthodox Talmudic scholar, David Lichtenstein, says that no matter what, it will be non-kosher meat. Which means that it doesn't matter if it's a cell or a whole animal. If it's any part of it, then it's a cow. That's the end of the discussion. So everything is off limits.
Keep in mind that he's on the more conservative side of orthodoxy.
It's a little closed-minded, but we can understand it. Because if you see cells from a cow, in the end, they're kind of like cow cells.
So now that we know pretty much exactly how lab-grown meat is actually cultured, and what different high-ranking rabbis have to say about it, now it's your turn to tell us. Tell us down below what your thoughts are on the situation.
Don't forget to like and share share it with other people in your neighborhood or Twitter, so that they understand what kashrut laws are and stem cell meat is.
And
so we'll catch you later.